What would you do if a stranger turned your sanctuary into their stage, without so much as a whisper of permission? My name is Elias, and my cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains was supposed to be my escapee, a quiet retreat, where the only sounds were the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a hawk. But last summer, it became the battleground for a showdown I never saw coming. One that started with a woman named Karen and ended with a heartbreak that still lingers. It was June, the air thick with the scent of pine and wildflowers. I'd bought the cabin 2 years prior, after my divorce from Clara left me craving solitude. The patio, a wide wooden deck overlooking a valley of rolling green, was my pride and joy. I'd spent months sanding the planks, staining them a deep cedar red, and furnishing it with a simple table and chairs where I could sip coffee and watch the sunrise. It was my sanctuary, my reset button. But Karen had other plans. I first noticed something was off when I returned from a supply run in town. My dirt driveway was clogged with car-sleek SUVs and a florist's van with a garish logo. Strangers milled about my property, stringing fairy lights through my trees and setting up folding chairs on my patio. A woman in a crisp white blouse, clipboard in hand, was barking orders like she owned the place. That was Karen. "Excuse me?" I said, stepping out of my truck, my voice calm but edged with confusion. "What's going on here?" Karen turned, her smile all teeth and no warmth. "Oh, you must be the groundskeeper. Perfect timing. We need those tables moved closer to the railing for the ceremony." "Groundskeeper?" I laughed, incredulous. "This is my property. Who are you, and why are you setting up a wedding on my patio?" Her smile didn't falter, but her eyes narrowed. "I'm Karen, the wedding planner. The bride, Sophia, booked this venue months ago. We have a contract with the property management company. You must be new." "There's no property management company," I said, my voice rising. "I own this cabin outright. No one contacted me about a wedding." Karen waved a dismissive hand, as if my words were a minor inconvenience. "That's not my problem. I have a signed agreement, and the bride's family has paid a fortune for this day. You'll have to take it up with them." I stood there, dumbfounded, as caterers hauled in trays of food and a string quartet tuned up on my deck. My blood boiled, but I wasn't about to let this slide. I stormed inside, grabbed my phone, and called the county sheriff. If Karen thought she could steamroll me, she was about to learn otherwise. While I waited for the sheriff, I watched the chaos unfold. The bride, Sophia, arrived in a cloud of white tulle, her face radiant but nervous. Her groom, a lanky guy named Ryan, trailed behind, looking overwhelmed. Guests trickled in, oohing and eyeing over the rustic charm of my patio. I felt like I was watching a play in my own home, cast as the villain without my consent. Then came the twist I didn't expect. As I stood by the kitchen window, fuming, a man approached me. He was older, maybe mid-60s, with a weathered face and a limp that suggested old injuries. He introduced himself as Tom, Sophia's father. "Elias, right?" he said, his voice low and earnest. "I overheard you talking to Karen. I'm so sorry about this. My daughter, she doesn't know." "Know what?" I asked, wary. Tom sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Sophia's mother, my wife, passed away last year. This cabin, it was her dream spot for Sophia's wedding. She found it online, thought it was a rental. Karen handled everything, said it was all arranged. I had no idea it was your home." His words hit me like a punch. I saw the pain in his eyes, the kind that lingers after loss. My own divorce had left me raw, but this was different. Tom was carrying a grief that made my anger feel small. Still, this was my property, my peace, being trampled by Karen's ambition. "I'm sorry for your loss," I said, softening. "But this isn't right. No one asked me." "I know," Tom said. "Karen's a bulldozer. Always has been. But Sophia's heart is set on this. It's all she's got left of her mom's vision. I'm begging you, Elias, let them have this day." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to kick everyone out to reclaim what was mine. But Tom's plea, raw and desperate, stirred something in me. I thought of Clara, how our own dreams had crumbled. Maybe I could let this go, just for a day. But Karen's smug face flashed in my mind, and I knew I couldn't let her win completely. The sheriff arrived an hour later, a burly man named Deputy Harris. I explained the situation, showed him my deed. He scratched his head, clearly uncomfortable. Technically, you're in the right, he said. I can shut this down, but it's going to be a mess, bride, guests, the whole deal. You sure you want that? I looked at Sophia, laughing with her bridesmaids, oblivious to the chaos. I looked at Tom, watching his daughter with a mix of pride and sorrow. And then I looked at Karen, still barking orders, her clipboard a scepter of control. That's when the idea hit me, not just to stop the wedding, but to flip it in a way that would leave a mark. Hold off, I told Harris. I've got a better idea. As the ceremony began, I slipped into the crowd, unnoticed. The officiant, a nervous young man, was mid-vow when I made my move. I'd spent the last hour rigging my patio sound system, the one I used for quiet evenings of jazz. With a flick of a switch, the speakers blared not with music, but with my voice, pre-recorded and amplified. Ladies and gentlemen, my voice boomed. Welcome to my home, which was hijacked for this wedding without my consent. Karen, our lovely planner, thought she could bully her way onto my property. But this is my patio, my sanctuary, and I'm taking it back. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Sophia's face went pale, Ryan's mouth dropped open, and Karen's clipboard hit the deck. I stepped forward, now live, holding a cordless mic I kept for karaoke nights. I was going to shut this down, I said. But then I met Tom. His love for his daughter, Sophia, and her late mother's dream changed my mind. So here's the deal. The wedding goes on, but Karen's out. She doesn't get to play queen on my land. The crowd was silent, then erupted in whispers. Karen's face turned crimson. You can't do this, she shrieked, lunging for the mic. Deputy Harris, standing nearby, gently blocked her path. Oh, I can, I said. And I will. Sophia, Ryan, you have my blessing to finish your vows. But Karen, pack your clipboard and go. What happened next was chaos and beauty intertwined. Sophia, tears streaming, ran to me and hugged me, whispering, "Thank you." Tom nodded, his eyes wet. The guests, unsure at first, began to clap, some even cheering. But the story doesn't end with triumph. As the reception wound down, Tom found me again. "Elias," he said, his voice heavy, "there's something else you should know. Sophia's mom, she didn't just love this place. She was sick for years, and we came here once, years ago, when it was still a rental. She said it was where she felt alive again. I thought letting Karen book it was honoring her. I didn't know it'd hurt someone like you." His words cut deeper than I expected. I'd won my little war with Karen, but at what cost? I'd humiliated a woman, even if she deserved it, and disrupted a day meant to honor a memory. I looked at Sophia, dancing with Ryan, her smile bright but fragile. I'd given her the wedding, but I'd also tainted it with my stunt. The victory felt hollow, like a fire that burns too fast and leaves only ash. As the last guests left, I stood alone on my patio, the fairy lights still twinkling. The valley stretched out below, silent and indifferent. I'd reclaimed my space, but the peace I'd fought for was gone, replaced by a quiet ache. Sometimes, doing what's right feels like losing something you can't name. ND.